Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Gem and the Holograms? Yes, welcome again to this peering look into the complete ridiculosity of the Technicolor nightmare that is 80s cartoon air quotes classic, Gem and the Holograms. I am the living daylights of this equation. My name is Joe.
I'm the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Kristen.
Okay, I don't know what we were going for with that, honestly.
I don't either. Living Daylight sounded hopeful, so Fear and Loathing sounded like the opposite of that.
That's pretty
really
good.
Quickly.
I don't know, I just went, for some reason, my mind went to Bond movie. And not even like a well-known Bond movie, but like a Timothy Dalton Bond movie.
You always have me like flying by the seat of my pants at these introductions, so I got to come up with what I can come up with.
Yeah, that's true. I think Fear in Las Vegas is good. If you haven't seen that, you should watch it. But we're here to talk about Gem today, and we are experiencing Gem and the Holograms via Shout Factory's Gem and the Holograms Truly Outrageous Complete Series set. And if you want to watch at home, Gem is on Netflix. Or it should be, because I honestly don't keep up with it, because I don't want to check every week to see if Gem is on Netflix, even though it'll probably take like a minute.
Well, like if we want to, pull back the curtain, I watch Gem on Netflix. You use the DVDs, because you own them.
That's true, I do.
We live in two separate locations.
So yeah, I guess you're going to be the person who keeps us up to date on whether Gem is on Netflix or not, because I'm sure you'll tell me one week, oh no, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, because once it's not there anymore, this podcast is going to be in trouble.
Well, yeah, that's true, but they'll send you the DVDs in the mail maybe or something.
Yeah, we'll just do it back and forth, and it'll take us even longer to record the episodes. That's a great idea.
It'll be perfect. Great. Welcome to CWTAJ, and we got quite an episode on our hands this week, Kristen. It is
oh God,
the World Hunger Shindig, which I just want to say the title sounds kind of awkward.
It sounds sarcastic.
Shindig, I mean, we see why it's referred to as Shindig, I guess, and it's presumably just Texas.
Super Southern.
Yeah.
Why not?
I assume that it's supposed to be like Live Aid, I guess. Which, if that's the case, I mean, they didn't want to rip off Live Aid full tilt, so let's just put it in Houston at the Astrodome.
Sure. At the end of the last episode, I had a minute where I was like, I can't really remember. It's been a while. Is this where Gem starts getting like a little racist in its presentation of other cultures? And the answer to that question is yes.
Which is weird because this is one of those things like, hey, let's all be inclusive to each other, and then they kind of do the thing
Except
where
it's the mid-'80s where they're going way too hard, and they're like, we don't actually know the difference between a lot of these people who are not white, so let's just put them all together.
Right, yeah, let's just use every cultural stereotype we can, so then that shows the entire world.
Yes, that's exactly how it works.
And we're going to experience it all together, and I guess we'll play the theme song for you right here. All right, here we go, theme song.
Brace yourselves.
Me and my friends are Gem girls. Gem is my name. Exciting adventure, fashion, and fame. Once you're a Gem girl, you're never the same. Come on and be a Gem girl. Gem is my name. Me and my friends are Gem girls. Gem is my name. Truly outrageous, that's a Gem girl. Glamour, fashion, and fame. Exciting adventure, fashion, and fame. Once you're a Gem girl, you're never the same. Come on and be a Gem girl. Gem is my name.
So we start the episode. Well, I mean, we just start it. It's like there's no recap this time, which is very interesting because this is the
I
first
noticed that
episode.
too. It's starting to let us know, like, okay, the thread's gone. From here on out, monster of the week.
Very episodic, and I just wanted to make note that this is the first episode not written by Christy Marks. It is written by Mary Skrenes, Skrenes.
So the blood is on Ms. Scream's hands in this case, so I bet Christy Marks is pretty thrilled about that in hindsight.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But we're not that we're going to absolve Christy Marks of anything, because if she does something crappy, we're going to make sure.
Yeah, we'll point it out.
But there's a lot to take in here in kind of the first shot, because we've got a helicopter coming in, we've got like cowboy music playing, and all the holograms are in this helicopter together with a man who is very southern, so we've got everything right off the bat that we're doing something rich and southern this episode. And I had to go back twice to kind of hear what Kimber said, because the helicopter is very loud.
Yeah, my first note is loud helicopter southern people. Wow, this show loves southern people, because we mentioned back on the frame-up episode where they were in Las Vegas, there was just a lot of southern people in that episode for no reason, just cowboy hats denoting their southernness, and man, oh boy, does that come back in this episode.
A lot of cowboy hats in this episode. They show
lots of bolo ties, lots of fringe.
They show up basically at a gathering of cowboys, and we're introduced to Sally Brand, who is a character throughout the episode. And I mean, they name a lot of characters in this episode, but I'd be hard pressed to know how many come back.
I think just Sean.
Just Sean? That's the thing. I didn't even know if Sean came back, but one thing
Yeah,
I noted.
he's Kimber boyfriend number 2, motherfucker.
I don't remember Kimber's boyfriends. I don't have time for that
I
list.
keep track of these things. Yeah, so much for Jeff. Toss that boy off to the side. We got a British teen heartthrob, Sean Harrison.
Yep. And one thing I want to say about Sally Brand is she looks kind of like old Jerrica, like just Jerrica aged up a bit, which is kind of weird. And apparently she has bar none barbecues, which is something that the helicopter man said.
A bar none barbecue sounds like the greatest rest. I would eat there.
I don't even know what exactly Sally Brand does.
Apparently she has so much spare time and wealth on her hands that she can make bets about being able to get $8 million or something.
Yeah, because immediately we're also introduced to Ellen Sue Tanner, who looks like the kitchen wench without her glasses and dressed as a cowboy. And apparently they made a bet about Sally Brand couldn't get $8 million to, I guess, raise for hunger charity. And Sally Brand is going to throw herself a World Hunger Shindig, basically, at the Houston Astrodome. And for some reason, they name drop the Astrodome like 4 times in this episode.
Yep.
Which is awkward, I think, is just how I would... This is all very awkward exposition, basically.
Yeah, they set up things and go super, super fast with most of the action and, like, plot in this episode. One of the things I point out that kind of gives you your first little inkling that there's something a little bit weird here going on is these rich people are making bets about world hunger issues.
That's the thing. We're not really clued in as to what the parameters of the bet are if Sally Brand can't make the $8 million. Like, does it just go to kitchen wench cowboy woman? If it doesn't...
she just gets it. Haha, I tricked you.
This is, where we're introduced to Sean Harrison as well, who is, English teen idol. And...
Yep, the helicopter lands. They immediately run out of the helicopter within, like, seconds of it touching the ground, which is really dangerous. And then run on stage and perform, and before we even get to the first song in the episode, which happens less than, like, 2 minutes into the actual episode, because, like I said, this is going, like, super, super fast, all the dialogue and everything. Once they're done with the song, they immediately run off the stage. So, efficient with their time.
Yeah, they run off the helicopter like they're the Beatles, basically, again, or like they're the fucking rescue force coming to save a person who's, like, trapped in a goddamn ravine. And
waving their arms like they love to do.
like they leave airplanes.
Yep.
And they disappear in a cloud of pink smoke and then reappear on stage, basically. And it's pretty much... It's time for the first song already, which is We Can Make a Difference.
Yeah, this song sounds like a weird echo of creepy Phil Collins stuff. They just throw us straight into it.
Well, I feel like this is kind of where, like, the Live Aid thing comes in. And I have a note here. I mean, it's not a bad song necessarily. I think it would be better if the song was like 5 minutes and not this, like, big emotional epic packed into a minute and 15 seconds.
At the top of the episode.
At the top of the episode, too. Yes.
Set to images of orange picking.
There's a lot of interesting imagery going on. People who care...
The animation already looks way better.
Does it? Because I know... Well, there were a few things in this episode that were a little weird.
Well, okay, compared to the pilot episodes, like, the animation that they do in the songs, like, the gem moving on stage, she looked pretty good. So that was nice. That's one of the only nice things we could say about this song.
That's true. Yeah, because if I thought People Who Care was, like, schmaltzy and Hollywood terrible, this is, like, fucking... This is an Oscar bait song. And, like, not even in a
Revved
movie.
up.
Yeah, revved up completely. There's, like, a weird shot of silhouettes against the desert sun. Like, crowd shots of the cowboys who are all, like, bewildered and, like, who is this, like, lady pop group playing at my country and western show, Barbecue?
I was surprised at how warm of a reception they got after their song, because this didn't sound like the sort of thing a bunch of Texans would enjoy, really. Not that I would know, but...
Well, that does happen twice in this episode, so
yep,
3 times
so
technically.
Apparently they were a hit.
Yeah, there's a panning shot, like you said, of people picking oranges and stuff. There's 2 people on a ladder, which is very dangerous.
Yeah,
I don't know if Orange
ladder
Groves...
safety, kids.
I don't know if Orange Groves have special ladders that they use that 2 people can be on, but I don't want to look into that.
Yeah, I'm not interested in figuring out, like, the workings of orange picking, because I feel like I would find unethical things in there.
I
don't trust the fucking oranges.
They load a cargo plane full of these non-trustworthy oranges, and they drop them in a third world country, I guess?
They don't say where. I refer to it as Africa. Just all of the entire continent of Africa.
Pretty much, because that's all we really get from it. And I have here that, teach a man to fish, basically, because we see a bunch of shit growing behind them as soon as they grab the oranges, which means if we give these people food, they're going to learn how to grow and self-sustain, and we can solve world hunger if we just give them shit or whatever.
Yep. Actually, my favorite part about them airdropping the oranges is, like, it took them 3 minutes into this episode to airdrop, like, not get down on the ground and hand food to people. Just go, here you go, and give food to, like, these, like, kind of emaciated-looking, generic, quote-unquote, like, Africans?
Yeah.
There's no way to describe it without it sounding real racist.
Yeah.
Which gives you an idea of how racist it was.
It was a little shocking
Oh,
to
and
see.
my final note for this song is just white privilege.
Mine is that the world is in Jem's eye, because that's basically the final shot that we see, is the world turns into Jem's eye, and then that's it.
So, after being brought down by the song about needing to help people instead of just eating barbecue, not making a difference on your plate, but rather in the lives of others, their instruments disappear and Gem and the Holograms run straight off the stage, arms waving.
Yeah, this is weird that they really gave this one song concert to these people who were having a good time, and then they played this really, like, sad song about being a better person and, being good to your fellow man when they probably just want to have barbecue. But it's, it's a good thing that their instruments disappeared, because then they just kind of ran off stage.
Man, know your audience. Sing a song about cornbread.
Do they like cornbread in Texas, Kristen?
I'm pretty sure that's like a Southern staple food. Man, now you're making me doubt myself, and like it's kind of shaking my whole worldview, and I'm a little uncomfortable.
I'm not trying to be like, is that really what they eat in Texas, Kristen? I'm just trying to be like, is that? I don't know if that's true.
I was completely certain up until the moment you questioned me about
All right,
it.
well, I don't want to question you anymore. So that's what happened. They should have sang a song about cornbread, and they run off stage because they got to go meet Tina Idol, Sean Harrison, who Kimber immediately goes fucking gaga goo goo, be my boyfriend for.
Forget Jeff. Can I mention something really quick? Sidebar that has been burning a hole in my very soul for a week now.
Please go ahead.
So you know how in the last episode when they had Starbright, Kimber and Jeff were watching their scene in the movie together, and it was the scene with the motorcycles where he saved her, real life, in art.
And they kissed.
Yeah, Jeff wasn't an actor in the movie. He was the stunt man
Right.
for Nick.
Right.
So that was a scene with Nick who wasn't in the final movie?
You know what, Kristen? It's a cartoon.
Yeah, just it didn't make sense. I want to point that out.
No, that doesn't
Cartoon
make...
didn't make sense. Cartoon for children confused me.
Then again, this happened during a music video, so it may have not actually happened. We can't take everything at face value.
It's too late to go back now. We've already recorded our our opinions. I just wanted to point that out because it was bugging me, and I needed to make sure that it got on to the next episode.
All right, well, fair enough. But so in order to cover for her absence over the next day or so, Jem goes over to Barbecue Woman and is basically like, hey, got a bit of a cold, so gonna go to the hotel. I'm gonna stretch my legs, lay back, chill, max and relax for the next 2 days until the Astrodome concert, so goodbye.
Yeah, first of all, there are no colds in the South. Jem, you fucking liar. Second of all, what do you think are the prerequisites for becoming a barbecue woman?
Probably just have really good barbecue sauce. I don't know. I mean, she's probably...
Do you think you need to go to school for at least 2 years?
You gotta learn how to do it. You probably gotta have, a dad or a family member who was, an uncle, who was, really, really good at it, so they can teach you. And it's like family secret shit,
And you get a PhD, except it's a BBQ.
And it's a nice big pin with a pig on it, and it says, ask about my barbecue.
And you get, a lobster bib, except with a rack of ribs on it.
Is that what she has hanging in her office, the lobster bib, PhD, BBQ?
Yeah, framed.
Because who wouldn't?
Absolutely.
So, okay, so now is the part where Jem has to do her, little switcheroo, I guess, because she makes Synergy make a hologram taxi pull up with a hologram Jerrica that gets out, which sort of implies that Jerrica took a taxi from LA to Houston, which I checked. They
got money to burn. They don't have any blind orphans anymore.
It's 1,550 miles, or 21 hours, a little over 21 hours, to the Astrodome specifically, even though this is outside of Houston. So she probably took a plane, but I would like to assume that she drove 1,000 miles in a taxi.
Sure, those are peanut miles.
just to show up at this ranch. But
But yeah, the thing with the taxi, I described that in my notes as some next level hologram shit, and like no one else saw it. So they do their little Jem and Jericho running towards each other, do a do-si-do, get back in the taxi that's not real. Ta-da, Jericho's at the party and Jem's off having a fake cold because holograms don't get sick. And no one sees it. It just happens.
no, yeah,
It was for the viewer's pleasure.
for all intents and purposes, she could have hidden behind a tree and just turned into Jericho.
Just like they need to remind you, by the way, secret identity.
Yeah, Jem runs into the party, and there's Rio, because he was here before the holograms, I guess, for some reason.
Ready to get his cowboy on.
Dressed, yes, in cowboy regalia, like everyone else in this episode.
Getting his cowboy right.
Getting his cowboy right. And then we're basically immediately introduced to CB Dodd, who is an oilman,
An oilman, as we say here on CWTAJ.
who basically does nothing in the episode. Like, he shows up in this scene and another scene, and then that's it, pretty much.
They mentioned he's interested in investing in a record company, which as an oilman, I'm not sure why that's like next thing on this checklist. You would think like land would be next maybe, and then like somewhere down near the bottom, rock groups.
Maybe. I don't know. He's looking to broaden his horizons. You know, people in Texas, they want to have conglomerates going.
Yeah, but who cares, because the Misfits are tearing up the road in a rodeo car.
Yes, they have a Longhorn convertible, and Pizzazz fucking hits that two-wheel action like she don't give a fuck, because here they come, and Eric looks like he's going to be sick, and I don't blame
I
him.
think she's actively attempting to like mechanical bull throw Eric out of the vehicle.
Eric happens to be the promoter for the World Hunger Shindig for some reason. I don't really know why, because, I mean, we'll see.
Because it's a cartoon and things have to happen.
Because it's a cartoon, yes. And Eric will be staying in the guest house with the other Misfits, which he is not happy about, judging by his reaction.
Well, he's wearing a bolo tie, so honestly, how many things does he have to be happy about in his life at this moment in time?
It's very true. Sally Brand knows that Eric is an asshole, and yet she hired him to be the promoter for the Rock. That's my major question as to why Eric was hired, considering Sally Brand, like the holograms are like, hey, Eric Raymond is bad business, and Sally Brand is like, yeah, I know. And
That's
that's
weird
it.
too, because like Eric and the Misfits do a surprisingly good job of trying to pretend to not be sociopaths when they're talking at first. So I don't know why they went through all that trouble if they know that Eric is a big scumbag already.
That's true. Yeah, he basically, I mean, as the promoter, he brings the Misfits over, and he's like, hey, they want to perform at the concert too. And Sally informs him that they can perform, but they can't be on the live album, which apparently incenses Roxy for some reason. But
yeah, Eric basically shoves all 5 fingers into her mouth to shut her up.
essentially, and he doesn't really mind that, and I don't see what the problem is. Like, that's where the Live Aid thing comes in again, because I'm pretty sure there was an album for Live Aid. I would not be surprised that there's this live album with, and it implies that there's a lot of bands too, even though we only know that Jem is performing, and I guess Sean Harrison.
Yeah, later I wonder a little bit about what the heck is going on and why they insisted. I guess I know why they insisted on later attempting to sabotage the holograms in particular. But the thing is, isn't there like a solo group of like someone who just played a fiddle that they could have like snapped their fiddle bow, and then that would have solved the problem? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm smarter than these cartoon people.
Basically, the Misfits can be part of the live album if somebody else drops out, and they target Jem and the holograms again specifically later. But yeah, again, I know it's a cartoon, but Jesus, come on.
So Pizzazz saunters all up to Sean, and they exchange some words. Pizzazz something about Sean taking on all comers, and I'm at this point in the episode like, okay, so did Sean and Pizzazz have sex?
Well, that's the thing, yeah, because Sean and Pizzazz goes over to Sean. Apparently they have a history of some sort, because 1 year ago, Pizzazz says she saw him in some seedy underground club in London, and she wonders if Sean is still fighting all comers, I think is what she says. And
That's
yeah,
an innuendo if I ever heard
yeah, I
one.
have here, I think Pizzazz is trying to hook up with teen idol Sean Harrison under the guise of fighting all comers, and he's just like, no thanks.
She uses her fists when she gets sexy. That's what she's saying. But yeah, Sean's not really having it.
And we all know what happens when Pizzazz gets rejected, so this is going to be a fun episode for Sean Harrison.
Hell hath no fury, like Pizzazz warned.
So we cut to the guest house now, and for some reason we spend like 5 seconds, like a good little chunk of time on Eric taking off his boots.
I think they're trying to like the trouble that he's having and how frustrating it is. It's like underscoring his like deep-seated disdain for Southerners in general.
Are you saying that Eric taking off his boots is a deep character moment, Kristen?
I'm just saying it's a metaphor.
I have written down that there's probably a zipper on the side of them, so, that might help to getting them off.
Oh my god, I almost just made a noise out loud because you said the word zipper, but we're gonna talk about that.
There's also a zipper in this household, apparently, but yeah, he'll show up in a little bit.
A man named Zipper, a memoir.
The Misfits have no idea what a benefit concert is, basically, because they're getting all up on Eric's shit because they aren't getting paid for this gig.
And because they can't be on a live album.
And because they can't be on a
unless
live
another
album,
band
yes.
drops out. So, Eric acts like a pissed off stepdad and commands all the Misfits to go to bed.
He does, to which all of the Misfits go into separate rooms. Apparently there are only 3 rooms in here, because he's like, hey, you guys are going to have to share. And then they all say no and throw, like, a pillow and blanket at him.
Which is actually pretty nice of them.
That is true. He could have just slept on the couch, in his fucking cowboy boots.
So, Eric has other stuff to do, though. There is a man named Zipper, a memoir, in his house. Or the guest house, rather. And he dyed his hair black.
Yeah, Zipper's hair is black all of a sudden, and it is for the rest of the series in, like, the 8 episodes that he is still in. Or 8 episodes that are left before he leaves, takes an indefinite leave to write his memoir.
Yep, he's an artist at heart.
Yeah, segment 1 ends, basically, with, apparently Zipper said that there were preparations made at the Astrodome, which I guess means he's gonna blow it up, basically. And, Eric once again gives fucking full clout to Zipper to just murder Jem and the holograms, and that is how segment 1 ends, with it kind of like zooming in on Eric's evil face after he says that, fucking just eliminate Jem and the holograms, basically.
Yeah, I wrote down that the slow zoom on Eric's face before the break looks like it was drawn in MS Paint. It just didn't look good. Also, I just want to put this on the record. My note when Zipper finally came back was, in all caps, Zipper my man. I'm starting to warm up to that Zipper dude.
I'm wondering, was he just hanging out there for the entire, last scene? Because he was just kind of sitting on, a mantelpiece. Just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, well, what else does he have to do?
Very true. But, alright, we're back. Segment 2. Jerica and Kimber wake up at this house, I guess, where they're staying on the ranch, and holy fuck, Kristen! Jerica's yellow and electric blue fucking checkerboard cowboy shirt.
Yeah, some of the fashion when they're trying to do locale relevant things with the outfit design, they get pretty friggin' wild. This is one of those episodes where it's like, what in the goddamn?
What in the goddamn is right, because it's gross, quite honestly, and she wears it for basically the rest of the episode.
So that's fantastic.
Sally is wearing business clothes now, and she really looks like older Jerica now. But
They make a big deal about how different she looks, and I was like, doesn't look different at all. She's wearing different clothes. Fuck off.
But yeah, she says she has to go do business things, but there's plenty of stuff to do around the ranch, but she makes sure, stay away from gullies and ravines. Foreshadowing. First sign of a cloud, hightail it back here. Foreshadowing. This is flash flood season. Foreshadowing.
So keep those things in mind, dear listener, because they're going to come back pretty soon.
Yeah, almost immediately, actually. I thought it would be the climax of the episode, but it's not.
Nope. So Jerica goes over to hang out with Rio, and I cannot tell if I'm happy that Rio is out of his schlumpy horrible outfit or pissed off that he's wearing a yellow cowboy shirt.
Rio is really bored in this, really bored or pissed off for some reason, because he's just, you know what, actually, I have a theory as to why. Well, let me get to it first after explaining the scene. Jerica comes over, and he's like, hey, Rio, let's do something today. He's like, nah, I gotta go to the Astrodome, and I gotta go set up there, I guess. And, I'll call you later. And that's basically the entire scene.
No, he also says, where's Jam?
Yes, he also asks that, I forgot, which, Jerica explains that she has a cold, so, Rio just like, whatever.
Calm down, idiot.
And then he just kind of heads off, and I think, Kristen, see if you could follow me on this one. Rio was the male lead in a very, very popular movie recently, and now he's hanging up lights again.
You think he got a touch of the magic and now he's not ready to go back?
I think so. I think that's basically what happened, is Rio is just sad that he's not a big actor man now.
See, I got my own theory, and it's kind of, I feel like a more simplified, generalized version of what you said. My reading of the scene was that the way that Rio's talking makes him sound like he has clinical depression.
That might be it too. I don't know. We'll never know with Rio, because his personality changes episode to episode.
Yep, speaking of clinical depression, Kimber is sitting at another table, and she has no friends, so she's talking to a bird.
She literally says hello to a bird that lands next to her, And Sean Harrison comes over, and like a big fucking suave dude is just like, oh, so you can charm the birds out of the air in the worst accent possible.
There's a weird thing with his accent where I can't tell, like, if it's supposed to be, like, laid on super thick and, like, at what point the voice actor was just really bad at reading.
It's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really play too much of a role, but definitely we're just told he's British, and there's somebody doing a British accent, so let's just leave it at that.
Pizzazz witnesses the scene, and she is wearing a zebra striped vest.
She's wearing a
She
fucking...
killed some kind of jungle animal that was tripping acid with her own bare hands and got that vest made for her.
Pizzazz once again representing Zubaz by wearing that fucking vest with the goddamn zebra print.
Yep, the best. Where are we going from here? My notes get a little bit scattered at this point because a million things happen at once.
Yeah, so Sean Harrison, macking on Kimber, and Pizzazz is gonna fuck it all up is basically what we get out of this.
Yes.
He wants to come along on like the horse ride or whatever, because we're kind of treated to a montage here basically, because we see them kind of going out on horses and like going to the swimming hole and stuff. And I mean, it's not like, it's weird because we're supposed to assume that they're having fun, but I can't really tell if they're having fun or they're just doing things.
I think it's a cartoon. We can assume they were probably having fun. Kimber falling in love with her second boyfriend, beginning to think, oh, I never knew polyamory was for me, but now that I'm considering the possibilities and my own happiness, perhaps.
Kristen, I want to point out that you mentioned polyamory like 4 episodes in a row.
Really? That often?
I mean, I guess with the way some shit works in this series, it's hard not to fucking bring it up, but still.
It's a gag I'm fond of. What can I say?
But yeah, I guess everybody's at the swimming hole, everybody's wearing one-piece swimsuits, and fucking beady oil man or whatever gets a call on the phone, on a cell phone, on a 1980s goddamn cell phone at a swimming hole in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
I wrote cell phone because I was so surprised to see it.
Aja and Shayna boo and hiss because I guess they're having such a good time that the phone is going to ruin it.
That's how you know they're having a good time. There you go.
And apparently it's a call for Sean Harrison, who needs to go sign a contract in Houston, which I think probably should have been taken care of earlier. I mean, I know it's a means to get him and Big Oil away from him, or away from the holograms, but it's a little kind of awkward.
Okay, and before we get too much further with the plot being rolled out in front of us, at some point we do see Zipper dressed as a cowboy.
I believe that is what happens. Oh, right, no, yeah, in the montage of them, like, on the horses and shit, yeah, we see Zipper dressed as a cowboy, which is just basically his normal attire with a bandana and a cowboy hat.
Yeah, that killed me a little bit.
His normal zipper jacket, which I think they're trying to be incognito when the next thing happens. Zipper and Goon Man number 2 come over and basically are like, all right, yeah, come on. We're gonna lead you over this way with, like, that's basically it. They just kind of get kidnapped.
Doesn't one of them have a gun?
Both of them have a gun, I think.
Well, one of them had a piece of wood.
Well, alright, so I'm gonna assume that Zipper trusts himself with the gun and the other guy has a piece of wood, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember, but I remember I was like, oh, okay. Like, they never showed it full in frame when he says something, but I swear one of them had a rifle.
But yeah, they're basically led down a ravine, and I was like, oh, a ravine. The lady talked about this. This is probably going to come in handy. And I guess Jem was listening. Well, first of all, Kimber has to remind Jem to be like, hey, use your powers. Use your earring powers.
You think they would have thought of that at first when they got kidnapped in their bathing suits.
Yeah, that too. They didn't even allow them to change. And Kimber falls over, faking twisting her ankle, basically, and just screaming to distract Zipper and the Goon Man.
She does a good job.
She does a very good job because this allows Jerrica to make hologram rain and a hologram flood.
They don't notice the rain is fake. You think that would be the first thing? It's like, no, this is a strange phenomena I'm experiencing. I see rain, but I do not feel rain.
And yeah, so the fake flash flood drives them off. And then we cut to the next scene of where they're gonna do the hayride.
It all goes very smoothly and happens real fast.
I'm kind of questioning why they aren't going to tell anybody, like, hey, we were nearly, like, fucking shanghaied out there, so what's going on?
That's what happens. Bandit.
I got a question about this hayride, Kristen.
What is your question about this hayride?
Alright, so they got a cart, pulled by 2 horses, and they got hay basically overflowing out of this wagon attached to the back, like the cart area. I don't think that's how hayrides work.
As someone who has been on more than one hayride, living in northeastern Pennsylvania, I'm gonna concur.
Now, Kristen, we were both not alive in the 80s, and we both don't live in Houston. So do you think that's how they do hayrides?
Considering later how unsafe it is shown that is, I am going to say no.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume basically what happens is like someone rode in hayride, fucking Mary What's-Her-Face rode in hayride.
Well, they gotta ride on top of the hay. Ride the hay.
And yeah, that's basically what they came up with. So
there's someone who is only referred to as Curly.
Curly.
Yes, they say, thanks, Curly!
I don't even know who the hell that is. I missed that.
Or like, where's Sean, Curly? Something like that happens.
Yeah, because yeah,
before
Kimber...
they leave on the hayride, because yeah, Sean is not there, and it turns out he was kidnapped by the Misfits. He also got intercepted, it turns out. And the Misfits probably also had guns and a piece of wood.
Yeah, basically, I missed before that, Sean said to Kimber, like, oh, I'll be back for the hayride later, it'll be okay. And then, yeah, that is why Kimber is concerned now. But then they end up going on the hayride without him anyway, as we'll see later. Yeah, the Misfits stole Sean and took him to this very seedy bar called Jim's Western Music. Very seedy, very low class, as you can tell.
They're wearing amazing Technicolor fishnet cowboy outfits.
Yeah, fishnets are fishnets just a general part of Misfits outfits in general?
I think so.
A general part in general. Very good language by me there. But yeah, the Misfits are a smash at this fucking country and western bar, essentially, because as soon as they walk in, everybody's like, oh shit, it's the Misfits!
Do a song!
And
they get up on stage, and my favorite part is when Pizzazz says the phrase, the world hunger thing. Can't even be bothered to say Shindig.
Really shows where her heart is in it, and that she also says that charity begins at home, which means that, you gotta look out for number one. And I mean, she makes that apparent with the song, because she actually even says that she's looking out for number one in song number 2 of our evening here, Gimme, Gimme, Gimme.
A man after midnight. Won't somebody help me chase the shadows away? That's
Still
a reference for all you ABBA fans out there.
I refrained from making a fucking reference to Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses when we did Welcome to the Jungle yesterday, so I'll let that pass, but still, come on.
We didn't do it yesterday. Let's not make people think that we do this on a weird schedule. He said yesterday, he meant last week.
Whatever. I whatever. My frame of time is all out of place. Whatever. Gimme Gimme Gimme's not a great song. I know you said you liked it, Kristen. I'm not a fan.
I'm into the shitty Misfits songs, can I say, though. I think I just like the opportunities that this gave me for funny Kristen gags. So one of the notes I took was the Pizzazz hunger shindig, raise money so Pizzazz can eat hamburgers. Because that appears to be what she's saying she wants in the song, because she doesn't want money, obviously. She has enough of that, so she's like, give me some friggin' hamburgers.
Yeah, because one of the first images in the song is Pizzazz grabs a hamburger off of the plate of a man with, like, pink sides to his hair, which I don't know if that was a coloring error or what, but it was hilarious, at least. Texas-style, pink side hair, takes a bite of his burger, throws it back down on his plate, and he gets ketchup all over his face, and then he smiles because he's like, wow, a celebrity just took my burger.
Yeah. There's certain celebrities that I would be like, thank you so much.
For getting ketchup all over my face.
I'm gonna put this burger in a plastic bag and nail it to my wall.
That is exactly how you keep that burger fresh too. It'll be great.
Well, maybe I'll shellac it first. But this song has a lot more of the classic Stormer and Rocky sliding in from the sides of the frame to sing backup vocals.
Yeah, which is just them saying "gimme" a bunch of times. As is normal, basically.
The crowd loves it.
Yes, you had said also that Pizzazz does not want cash because for some reason a dude offers Pizzazz a fat stack of cash and she fucking, whips it out of his hand. Like, get that shit away from me. That fucking pocket change.
She kicks stacks of cash for fun at home into a tiny soccer net.
That must be really awkward considering it's very hard to just kick money.
No, like, they're wrapped up with stacks of bills, not individual ones.
No,
let's be practical.
I thought you were implying that Pizzazz, like, makes it rain by just kicking cash all over the place.
Well, she has a separate room for all just, like, the piles of loose cash.
Of course.
It's like autumn leaves in there, but Sean Harrison is not as amused as everyone else.
No, we get a lot of Sean just kind of, like, yawning and sitting there bored, which
it's kind of rude. I mean, they did kidnap him, but geez, man.
That's the thing. I'd at least be excited if a big band stole me away from a lady that I was interested in and then played a song about, give me money. You
would at least be like, this is a unique experience I am having right now.
Or at least give me hamburgers.
Oh, man, I want a hamburger now. Gimme a hamburger, please.
Right into my face, please, right now.
Yes. Someone mail me a hamburger. Listeners, preferably. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
We get some uncomfortable close-ups of pizzazz, as is normal for most songs, really. And the wonderful line, or I don't know if you have this line written down too, Kristen. You're welcome
course
to
I
deliver
do.
it. Okay.
Don't expect no gratitude. The only thing I give for free is attitude. And as soon as I heard that line, I said I find it hard to believe she doesn't charge for attitude too.
Really? That's I didn't think of that. She probably charges Eric money just to be around him.
Absolutely, just to give him a hard time. And yep, the crowd loves it. Sean's like, I'm bored. I would really like to go.
Yeah, that probably all happened, by the way, because nothing really egregious happened. It was just the Misfits fucking shit up as per the usual. And yeah, Sean is just basically like, please, can we leave? Because I really, I kind of want to go see Kimber, which, again, not a good thing to say when Pizzazz is directly in front of his face.
Pizzazz is like, changed, and I wrote down they did have sex.
Because, she just calls him a wimp, basically, the entire time, and they get back in the Longhorn convertible, and I guess they're driving back. They hit the city limits. I thought that they were gonna, abandon him in the middle of everywhere.
I wrote down, I cannot believe they didn't just leave him there after he asked them. I guess, there are bonds with people who you are intimate with. Can't just leave pop star you used to bang by the side of the road, so give him a ride back.
And they're about to hit the hayride, I guess, which is crossing the street at this very opportune time for when Pizzazz is barreling down the goddamn highway.
Yeah, I was saying maybe they shouldn't have had their hayride go across a road.
Yeah, this is that's the end of segment 2, by the way, is everybody screaming like, oh god, they're gonna hit the hayride, and Stormer going, Pizzazz, look out! But her lips not matching it because the animation is a little weird.
And, yeah, my last note for that segment is Pizzazz is the fifth horse of the apocalypse.
Yeah, there you go. What is it? Death, pestilence, plague,
Famine,
Pizzazz, Phyllis,
yeah.
Horseman of Death, Gabor.
Yep, perfect. Phyllis, death, famine, pestilence. What did we say there was the other one? Plague?
Plague, I think. Are plague and pestilence the same one?
I'm gonna Google this.
All right,
I'm Googling. Hang on, just give me a minute.
I'll let you do that real quick.
Oh, we were really wrong!
Oh no, what are they?
They're conquest, war, famine, and death.
What?
So we only had 2 of them right.
That doesn't sound correct at all, because I could have sworn plague and pestilence were at least one of them.
Well, this is what Google's first result that it's showing me is, so
there
we go.
Fuck that, I don't believe it. Pizzazz, death, pestilence, plague,
You know what the four horses of
famine.
the apocalypse are, Joe?
Whom?
Pizzazz, Roxy, Stormer, and Jetta. That's a joke for all y'all who've watched season 2.
Yeah, we'll get into Jetta eventually when we get into season 2. We'll just replace Jetta.
You'll know because we'll bring up the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse again.
Just replace Jetta with Clash for now, and we'll be okay. We'll have that
fake
covered.
4th misfit.
But we come back. For some reason, when we come back and, the Misfits just basically derail the carriage or, get it fucking... Basically, the guy's like, oh, shit! And they avoid it, but the carriage ends up breaking. The Misfits are all laughing.
Yeah, they think it's
afterwards.
hysterical.
They think it's hysterical when before they were just screaming that 1 second ago. And Aja says, we're still alive, aren't we?
Is she disappointed?
This was really my ticket out. This is how I wanted to go. Buried in hay.
Do you know what? Everyone has a dream.
And the axle's broken, so they gotta walk back.
Yeah, they say, oh, did you notice who was in the car? And Kimber's like, I'm never gonna talk to Sean again, which is, not really how you should engage with people. Presumably that you liked at some point. Talking is good. It's a good thing they do actually talk, which takes 2 seconds a little bit later in the episode, but I remember reading that and being like, let's not, please.
Yeah, good thing for Sean. He explains himself very quickly later when we get there. We see Rio outside of the Houston Astrodome calling Jerica. I assumed this was going to go somewhere, and then it doesn't, so...
Nope. He wants to talk to his friggin' girlfriend.
He does, and because they had to walk back from the thing, he just doesn't get the chance, so he leaves, and Zipper's hiding behind the phone booth, and I thought he was going to kill Rio for a second, but he doesn't.
What a shame.
He just calls Eric and is like, hey, plan's a wash, sorry.
And Eric is not happy. I would like to point out, at some point, Zipper is like, okay, calm down, Pops, and I said, oh my god, is Eric Zipper's dad?
If only.
That seems impossible for, a couple of reasons.
It'd be a good twist.
In my Gem and the Holograms movie.
Zipper is Eric Raymond's son.
Subplot.
Zipper mentions the Astrodome again, or Rio does. Somebody mentions the Astrodome again for some reason. And, but I mean, it's a good way for them to just kind of transition into the day of the World Hunger Shindig with a bunch of people coming in.
Zipper is selling tickets, looking very trustworthy, as he dumps stacks of cash into a, like, snap clothes purse he has on the ground. Like, nice subtlety. I know he's a man named Zipper, but for Christ's sake.
Do you think Zipper is afraid of zippers, so he can't have a normal bag?
I don't want to talk about Zipper, the man, in relation to Zipper, the notion, again.
The holograms arrive, basically, and they, are led onto a cart by some guy who's just like, hey, come over this way. And then Sean arrives also on a security cart thing and is just like, hey, Kimber, want to talk to you. And
hop into my jalopy.
Aja has to go. You should really let him explain himself before Kimber's just like, okay. And
yeah, so thankfully she does actually talk to him.
As we said, it takes literally 2 seconds for him to be like, Pizzazz kidnapped me.
Yeah, I feel like him saying, like, what he says is that Pizzazz tricked him, or lied to him or something. I think the proper way to apologize for what happened was, I was actually stupid enough to think that Pizzazz was taking me somewhere to meet you. That was my bad. I won't do that again.
That's right. I forgot the fact that Sean was led to Jim's Western music place under the assumption that he was going to meet Kimber there.
Yeah, so... it's not great as far as apologies go, but it's genuine, so sure. Took 2 seconds to solve.
It works. And it's a good thing Kimber went to go talk to him because the holograms got tricked by, I'm assuming, the same goon guy.
By the least genuine people in the entire universe. They might as well have been, like, giggling underneath their breath with every single, like, fake thing. They say, oh, here's your private dressing room. I wrote Gem and the Holograms in Sharpie and drew a star. Go on in. He
also makes some weird claim that, like, this is the back door of your dressing room, and it opens on stage.
Like they weren't convinced enough by how disingenuous he was being.
And then he basically forces Gem in there and then locks them in this broom closet, basically.
Yeah, except Shayna and Aja go in first. Gem lingers there, and no one notices it's a closet until Gem also goes in. So, great eyes, guys.
Shayna and Aja were too busy being like, yeah, World Hunger Shindig, and then they look around and like, wait a minute. And at that point, the door was already locked.
Yeah, so we cut back, and Kimber is like, where's the rest of my band? And Rio sasses her.
Rio is just basically like, that's what I want to know. Because, for some reason...
how he hasn't seen anyone from the holograms, or Jericho, my girlfriend, which Rio is not allowed to say the words Jericho and my girlfriend in the same sentence anymore.
Where has Rio been? That's my question. Was Rio
setting up the light?
Was he sleeping at the Astrodome for the past 2 days?
She's been sleeping up on the catwalk. So lonely.
And we get back to the guy taking a look and being like, oh, look at how well behaved the holograms are, sitting on a bench covering the most obvious fucking grate to the vents ever.
Women should be seen and not heard. I'm satisfied.
But yeah, they go all Metal Gear Solid and they start crawling through the vents. Just in time, they pass where Eric and Zipper are having a little conversation with each other. Zipper basically being like, oh, you stole the money. So you're a slick operator there. And Eric is just like, shut up. But Eric leaves his suitcase of money in the vents. And Zipper and Eric leave. Gem and company try to get out of the vents, but they can't. But then, luckily, Zipper comes in because I guess he's going to try to rip off Eric Raymond because he goes and removes the grate on the vent to try and steal the money, but there's a hologram Cobra on top of the case of money.
What a bad son.
Are we gonna do? Is that how this is gonna go? Zipper's gonna be Eric's son for the rest of this?
I'll see how I feel about it. But yeah, the snake is actually like a pretty decent hologram because they're in Texas at least. So like, okay, sure. So Zipper runs and they take the money and make off with it. And Zipper comes back with a bat ready to bash the snake with the bat.
Hey, well, you gotta think. The Houston Astrodome, I'm gonna assume, is where the Houston Astros play. And they are a baseball team, so there's probably an abundance of baseball bats at the Houston Astrodome.
Sounds great to me.
And he starts chasing the holograms, and basically all the plans are going out the window now, because I'm guessing that Zipper is just going to murder the holograms in cold blood, because...
Yeah, instead of bashing the snake with the bat, he's going to bash Gem with the bat.
Yes, exactly. And there's some fucking weird, like, Calliope chase music going on. It's like...
the fucking hoedown music going.
It's really awkward.
Yeah, but sure. And they end up on like the billboard that says how much funds been raised. Because back in those days, I guess they weren't fully digital, so someone had to go and change the numbers up on this like really high, dangerous catwalk. But sure.
You would think that they would use like the scoreboard since it's a baseball stadium, but I'm not one to tell them what to do.
We can't tell these cartoon people what to do.
Right. And well, I mean, you say it may not be fully digital, but then we see the number moving on its own later, so, whatever.
Man, I don't have a good explanation for that anymore, and now I'm angry.
Well, how about you try to explain this, Kristen, because we get the thing.
No. No. I don't want to talk. I wish we could skip this so I wouldn't have to talk about how stupid this is.
No. Okay, so
go ahead.
The Misfits are basically going to go on, and Kimber's being like, "Oh no, don't let the Misfits go on." And a guy goes out on stage, and he's like, "All right, here we go, the last act of the evening." And then for somehow, I don't know how it happens, Synergy hacks the fucking PA system, I guess, and goes, "And here they are, the truly outrageous Gem and the Holograms." And the spotlight.
I wish you could see the fucking face I'm making. I wish you could see the displeasure on just my visage is just pure hatred.
Kristen, this
is
is what
not how
happens.
holograms work.
This is what happens when Christy Marks doesn't write the episodes.
Just all the continuity just goes out the window.
A big spotlight shines on them. They're like, "Hey, we're here." And then they all jump and grab onto like this rope net holding back a bunch of fucking balloons, and they slide down. And I want to know, how did they know it would support the weight of all three of them without snapping, one of them breaking their goddamn neck on the way down?
Okay, so A, they learned stuntman tricks. B, they're adrenaline junkies and didn't care. C, it's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon is probably the best response, but I'd like to think that all of the holograms came together to talk to Jeff, and they were like, "So we want to do stuff that's really stupid. Can you show us the safest way to do that?"
Yeah, these little moments we're missing that make it hard to humanize these terrible people.
Speaking of humanizing terrible people, it's time for song number 3 of the evening, Share a Little Bit of Yourself. We're going to play that for you right now, and oh boy, are we going to have a lot to say when it's over.
So this song is a really good representation of what I was saying before about how they can't even really decide who they are helping. Just they have images of people helping Africans who live in Africa. Because, that's not a lot of different people or anything.
A lot of imagery going on here. We've got stuff going on like Jerica feeding the needy in I Have Just a Third World Location. We can say Africa if we want, but we really don't know.
No idea. Because they don't tell us.
No, they do not tell us. There's imagery of Shayna driving a wheat thresher with the rest of the holograms there, and they're all kind of playing their instruments. I'm assuming this got delegated to Shayna because she has drums, and the rest of them can play instruments, on a truck without having threat of falling off, basically.
Yeah, Shayna can beatbox while she's driving, so it's fair.
Once the camera pans past it, there's a rainbow behind them, and they're out in space, and they're shooting magic rainbow wheat everywhere, which goes on the ground, and there's a guy waving up and is like, "Hey, wow, great!" And then fucking food starts growing everywhere.
They're basically Jesus.
They're basically food Jesus. If you donate to the World Hunger Shindig, you are basically food Jesus.
Rock stars will come to your third world country and grow instant magic rainbow wheat. So
The Misfits get in on the song, as you probably heard, and it sounds sincere, which is interesting.
yeah, it's funny because like part of it they are kind of singing the parts similar to the theme of Gimme 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 from earlier. So they're saying, like, you know, when they're saying give, they're saying like give to me pizzazz. So they're trying to highlight the differences between the holograms and the Misfits. So like, oh, the Misfits are selfish, Jem is being selfless. But the thing is, all the imagery with the Misfits, there's no racist shit going on there.
Well,
so what does that say?
I mean, I don't think that they're singing in the way of, give to pizzazz in particular, because it was, one of those things like, give all you can, imagine the reward kind of things, which I mean, like the reward in your heart or whatever.
Well, then if that's true, then why, when they start singing again, does a cane pull them off stage?
Yeah, they get pulled out by the vaudeville cane, like they're not being sincere. But I feel like in the context of the song, you would not be able to tell that they aren't being sincere, because it's not, they don't use the word me at all. So that's why I assume that it's just like, hey, give all you can to the people that need it, i.e.
So
me.
the people at the World Hunger Shindig were like, fuck you, that's our message.
Well,
So
I mean,
Good people.
it's also, one of those things where maybe the Misfits were actually on stage trying to sing this song with them, and they were literally pulled off stage by the vaudeville cane because
You can't be on the album.
but they were told that they could perform. So I don't understand why. Do you think the Misfits just kept putting it off, like, hey, you can perform now? No. We want to go where Jem is going to go because we know Jem's not going to show up. And they're like, you realize if Jem shows up, you're not going to have a place to play. And they're just like, yeah, fuck it. No, whatever. It's fine. So then
Sure, that sounds realistic.
they realize that it's too late. So they go out and try and get in on the song like instantly. And,
Sure.
yeah, I guess I'm going to assume that's what happened anyway. There's a reference to the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, how could you not notice? It was
I guess I was still trying to grapple with the other images I was being shown.
I mean, I guess that's true. But I mean, there's... Yeah, just a nice shot of that, which it would be great. I would have made it like a thumbnail for the episode or whatever. But Kimber's hair is colored like gems.
Nice job, animators.
I was like, why are there two gems in this shot? And then I thought about it, like, holy fuck, one of them is Kimber. God damn it.
Great job, idiots.
Shanna's wearing her star uniform in a few shots, like from fucking People Who Care last episode, but nobody else is wearing their thing.
I didn't notice that, but I did notice Jem's sick racing jumpsuit.
Yeah, Jem's wearing her shitty racing suit in one of the images as well.
And I guess that she's getting in her race car because they're ready to go all around the world to meet all kinds of different people and make connections.
No, Kristen, she's getting in her racing suit because she's fucking racist. I'm sorry I had to make that joke.
You know what? It's true.
But yeah, so here's where everything terrible happens. The holograms
all at once. Pack it all in there.
The holograms are playing in Mexico. You could tell because of the sombreros. We get a nice scene of Kimber hanging out with Indian people, being as very Indian as possible.
Yep. Again, just what kind of stereotypes would you use if you were going to draw just a really generic person of this ethnicity? Perfect. Nailed it.
Basically,
Kimber's hanging out with them.
To the point where I don't want to explain it because I don't want to sound racist.
Yeah, but like there's almost no way to explain this imagery without it sounding bad coming from our mouths, which is like, this is complicated.
Right. We cut back to the holograms, which they're now playing in third, air quotes, third world land, air quotes, Africa.
Whatever.
We get a shot of Aja hanging out with Chinese people. You could tell because one of the girls got the red star on her hat, which I'm pretty sure is a military thing, which raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, so now we're going to have a quick discussion about how in the entire series, they are never really clear about whether Aja is Chinese or Japanese. There's some mixed messages. Like, they imply it both ways and never settle on anything.
I mean, I can only think... This provides one example of Aja being Chinese, and our next episode, Adventure in China, provides an example of Aja possibly being Chinese. But I can think of 3 times where she is implied to be Japanese, 2 of which is through clothing, so I'm not sure if it counts.
Yeah, so it's very inconsistent, and we're going to talk about it again.
We're going to talk about it a lot, probably, every time it comes up. But, yeah, we get Jem hanging out with a bunch of multicultural people, including like a really like fucking wooden shoes looking Dutch girl. off to the side.
Did she have pigtail braids?
Yes, and the fucking, like, the flying nun hat or whatever, you know what I mean, for Dutch people?
Yeah, I don't remember this girl that you're describing. I guessed. So what does that tell you?
I mean, you say Dutch girl and you're just like, yeah, they got the wooden shoes and the windmills in the background or whatever.
Yep.
But, yeah, and we got, Shayna hanging out with black people. That's all I need to say.
There you go. I want to say more, but I think it's best that we just stop.
Let sleeping dogs lie. There it is. That was... I don't even remember the name of the song. I'm so fucking, like, the entire time.
Share a little bit of yourself.
Share a little bit of yourself. How about you share a little bit of fucking learning about other people's cultures?
Before you draw stereotypes of them in a cartoon. I really highly suggest anyone listening goes to YouTube and looks up this music video for yourself, because there's some weird shit. And I feel like us describing it, you might think that, like, our difficulty speaking about this stuff doesn't make sense.
But you'll see.
But trust me.
And you're gonna be like, oh god, oh no god, oh god.
Yeah, it's man, I can't wait, because the next week's episode is gonna be racist too.
But yeah, we get back to reality here, because that definitely did not happen. All the shit that they went through there. And everyone loved it. We get the whole fucking rock meter again. Or no, wait, that comes later. But everybody loved it. And they go backstage, and, you know, for some reason, the fucking kitchen wench lady is like, you didn't get the $8 million. That's too bad. You're $250,000 short.
Looks like I'm gonna buy a whole mini golf course.
For $7 million. Wow, that's...
It's an elaborate.
I was gonna say, that's lavish.
Yep, and like a couple of golf carts, maybe like an ice cream machine.
One shaped
She
like a
had
swan.
big plans, believe you me.
Jem shows up with the case and is like, hey, here's a bunch of money that was taken from Eric Raymond's office, and Eric is caught red-handed. The Misfits are like, oh.
I was holding it like a child while we were performing on stage. Just cradling it like a baby. It helped me sing to know that I had all this cash in my arms.
The Misfits chide Eric because when they got here, they were like, oh yeah, so no, I'm just here for the contacts and to give you guys, you know, promotion. But it turns out that he was trying to scam them on the side. Trying to scam a fucking benefit. You know, good for the Misfits being like, Eric, you're an asshole.
Yeah, seriously. I like how Eric tries to, like, downplay the severity of what he did by being like, you could have the money. This is an individual contribution from me. And I was like, yeah, you look really trustworthy in your weird blue cowboy outfit, Eric.
Stormer's hair is forest green in one shot, too, for some reason.
Sure, it's the lighting.
Yeah, may as well, whatever. I don't know. I have written here, what are the parameters of this $8 million bet? I don't understand. Like, I guess we're just going to say that Kitchen Wench, Texas Cowboy, was going to build a mini golf course if they failed to get the $8 million. And even then, even with the money that Eric had to give over, it was still not enough for $8 million. But then Sally Brand, she's like, oh no, you signed over your $50,000 fucking whatever, promoter's fee, or promoter's promotion, whatever the fuck, and you give that back to me. And then, hooray, they got the $8 million, and there's fireworks.
I don't remember contracts being used as plot devices so often later in the series. But, like, all of a sudden, it's been happening a lot lately.
I wouldn't say that this is a plot device as much as basically a Deus Ex Machina. Basically.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, contract, give me money.
Or, like, they needed to add 40 more seconds to the episode, and they were like, well, shit. What are we going to do now? And they're like, oh, just have Eric sign over his money that he was going to be paid. And it's like, oh, that's great. There we go. And
it's really a shame because, you know, Eric has to make a living somehow. He's got all these little fascinating kids, zippers and buttons and snaps. They're hungry, Joe. World hunger, closure, Shindig.
Too bad, Kristen, because that $8 million is going to starving kids and not zippers. So there we go.
It's a shame.
It basically ends right there. I don't know if you had it on Netflix, but I had like, hey, let's listen to fucking the first song again for 40 seconds so we could fill out time for the rest of the episode.
Yep, I had that too, and I was like, no thanks, and I stopped it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can make a difference, plays again, like the second half of it, so instead of being 1 minute and 15 seconds long, it's like 40 seconds long, because occasionally they do that to pad the episode, basically, when the episode's a little too short, because that happens every so often.
I think that's a lot that by the time I got to the end of the episode, my final note was like, I feel like I did something wrong after I watched it. Like, I was uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, there we go. I feel like it could have been a lot worse.
It'll get pretty bad, so...
Yeah, that's true. We'll see eventually. You say that he shows up more often, but I just want to know, what was the point of Sean Harrison in that episode other than to introduce him? He didn't play or anything?
To have someone continuously macking on Kimber because Rio wasn't really doing any macking in this episode, and like part of the runtime needs to be filmed or filled out with macking, I guess. There's a macking quota. Girls like romance, Joe.
Yeah,
And they like British teen heartthrobs.
They weren't going to enjoy seeing Rio romance the lights in the Astrodome for 2 days, so, you know.
Just growing his purple stubble, laying without a blanket, crying a little bit.
But that was the World Hunger Shindig, so there it was. Now's the point in the evening where I list all of our fun contact things that you can reach us at. You could reach us on Twitter at CWTAPod. You can find me at Octopus, AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me on Twitter at FunnyGirlTM, like trademark.
You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio. You can leave a rating, give a review. You can do whatever you feel like. Basically, you could reach us on
Send
Gmail.
me a cheeseburger in the mail, please.
Send Kristen a cheeseburger in the mail. You can find us on Gmail at cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us about, you know, thinly veiled racist antics of your World Hunger Shindig, or like, you know, hay rides and how they're supposed to be operated, because I still don't know if what we saw in the episode actually existed.
We like to be educated in just a vast amount of fields, so feel free.
I like to be educated, but I don't like doing the work.
Yeah, we like people to tell us things so we don't have to, like, try. We spend so much time, like, doing this podcast.
The mere fact that I searched out the distance from Los Angeles to the Houston Astrodome, I'm not going to be able to do a podcast for like 3 weeks now, Kristen.
I Googled 4 horsemen of the apocalypse during this podcast for you all, so I could bring you factual information. Just tell us about a hayride, please.
Tell us about who are your 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, because clearly we were very wrong. So whatever.
They could be anything at this point.
Honestly, conquest is bullshit. That's not real. That's not correct. Next episode, continuing into our theme of racism, is the long-awaited, I guess, Adventure in China. We've been talking about a decent amount. I haven't watched it in a while. I only remember like 2 things. I don't remember how racist it gets. I can only hope that Gem and the Holograms perform a song with like a gong and a dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee in it or something.
Definitely remember there being some like, okay, so if Gem and the Holograms wants to do fashion but Chinese, what would that look like?
So there's a lot of
we have that to
chapows
look forward to
then.
at least, yeah.
All right, well, you know, at least it's a good thing of clothing. But I kind of have a feeling. I mean, I guess we'll get into it when we get there. But it's next episode. It's basically an aaaah episode. This was, for all intents and purposes, a Kimber episode. We've got an aaaah episode here, but since aaaah doesn't have a personality, really, they were just like, what does aaaah do? Asian. China. Great. There we go.
She's just China. Let's go.
She is just China. So, yep. It's going to be painful. Or maybe hilarious. Or very possibly hilariously painful. Just, you know, join us if you will. For CWTAJ, I am Joe.
I'm Kristen.
And join us next time where we will talk about more Gem and the Holograms.
Bye-bye.